Okay, this is going to be Why Digital Card Games Suck by Majin Obama. I am planning to make a digital card game, and I want to know why my game is apparently going to suck, you know? Boomer. That's funny.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a result of quarantine, maybe it's the nostalgia, but I recently took a nosedive back into physical card gaming
It was the pandemic. That's what it was. Yeah.
with my friend East with the
This is like from 2 years ago. So.
Digimon TCG that came out, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been really refreshing, actually. Uh,
Oh, that was like, I remember this song. It was from, I think it was from Yu-Gi-Oh! Falsebound Kingdom. I think. Gosh, I love this
I
song.
hadn't played a physical card game for a long time, and as someone who is dabbled with a variety of physical and digital card games in the past, it made me think about why I was enjoying this versus the previous outs that I've had with some of the digital card games in recent memory. So it got me thinking a lot about like the differences between the two, right? So presentation is of course
Are they playing like that? I think it's called UFS. Apparently, I don't know.
an obvious difference here. While both offer a variety of artwork, digital card games do so much for presentation. I think animations, sound effects, audio clips, they do something to help bring those cards to life. That said, I am a bit biased. I think
Oh, it's
there is
Digimon game.
something particularly satisfying about holding a physical card. It's just a different kind of feeling about it.
Agree.
It's
I
difficult
agree.
to articulate other than saying it feels like it's mine.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. It's because you own the cards, you have the freedom to trade them, you have the freedom to buy and sell them, you hold them in your hands, it feels good to hold them, you can like fidget with them. Um, it's a lot like better to just have the cards in person. It's just awesome. It's an awesome feeling. What is not so awesome though, in my opinion, is paying to get sleeves that will be busted after a tournament, buying a playmat that was going to get dusty after like a few days of usages. Like I'm not trying to like I'm not trying like I guess I'm biased. I'm not trying to like shit on the format, but I just really don't like that. Like it's kind of stupid that we have to like to actually spend money on this stupid shit. Like it's so annoying.
I find this to be more satisfying from a collector's perspective too, given you
True.
have something that you can put on display or put in.
Yeah, this is like something that I feel like when you have like a digital collection, it doesn't feel like very satisfying to have. It's just like, oh, it's just like some JPEGs that I have, whatever, kind of like boring. When you actually have like a real life collection, it feels cooler. Like, and I can say that because I actually have like a collection. Like, this is kind of silly, but I collect Judgment Dragons. I have a collection of like pretty much like I'm trying to collect pretty much every Judgment Dragon from all the sets. So yeah.
On a shelf or put in a binder. Of course, this is a double-edged sword. You know, in the case that there are rule changes or mechanics added over
Mm-hmm.
time, or the need for clarifications on certain wordings, they
I hate when they do ruling. Like I really hate when they have to do errata on physical card games. It's just like the worst. Oh, what the fuck?
time, or the
Hello?
need for clarifications on certain wordings. They
What the fudge? Was he dead? Was it taken down or some
those
shit?
dive back.
Hello? What's going on? Should I like... I guess I'm going to reduce the quality.
The need for clarifications on certain wordings. They can't really patch out an old card,
Okay.
you know, what, or they can, but it gets kind of messy, as you
Yep,
can see.
it
They
really
have to
does.
reprint them with the changes made. This is
Mm-hmm.
something that digital card games can do just by rolling out a simple patch.
Yeah, but then there's like a little bit of a issue with doing that because it gives the devs way too much power, and with great power comes great responsibilities because let's put an example like let's say Pot of Greed. Um, let's say instead of banning Pot of Greed, I want to errata Pot of Greed. And it's like, okay, so instead of drawing two cards, I put like a condition and a cost to it. So like now you have to like discard a card and you cannot draw cards for the rest of the turn or something. Now it's like I can easily do this because I just have to edit the text of the card in the game database. But now new players are going to be a little bit confused as to why their card now has like a different effect and it works different and it changes like the whole like strategy sometimes for the cards um that they were playing. You know, because like sometimes like casual players are like they come like once a week, so they play like Pot of Greed. It's normal, and then like the next week they play it, and now it has like suddenly it has a cost. It has like a restriction to it. It can be a little bit confusing. Um, so like sometimes it's like um, it's like it's very tricky to errata cards in a way that the player base likes it. Most of the erratas, the player base is just not going to like it at all. So, eh, I'm personally, yeah, not a huge fan of erratas. I would just say like just ban the card and keep it banned or whatever, and then make like a new version of the card that is weaker or some shit like that. That's what Konami did with Pot of Desires and Pot of Extravagance, and I feel like that was like a good idea in general.
But can you imagine showing up to play with one of your old Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh decks only to find out that the effects don't really apply the same way that you thought they would?
Yup,
Furthermore, through digital games,
that's a
cards can
problem.
have more potential effects that can activate that would
That's a
otherwise
problem.
be too bothersome or even impossible to execute in real life. Of course, there's an associated cost that we pay for holding physical product, right? This is real life.
There's also like another thing about erratas. I heard, and I don't play Hearthstone, but I heard from the player base that the way that Blizzard likes to errata um, Hearthstone cards is by changing the numbers. So like cards that cost like one can start to cost like two, and cards like for example this card has like 5 damage and 5 HP. It could go down to like 5 damage and 3 HP. This is cool because it's like it's very easy to like you don't have to relearn the effect of the card kind of, but at the same time it can be kind of weird and confusing because it's like the casual player again might feel kind of gaslighted, like it might be like, wasn't this card a 5 and 3, it's like, and then you have to keep up with all these cards that are constantly getting errata. So it's like I strongly advocate for errata cards very responsibly and as few as you possibly can for those reasons.
Of course, there's an associated cost that we pay for holding physical product, right? This is reflected in packs, their pricing, and the barrier of entry that comes with these games as a result. This is
Yep.
an edge that digital card games have. They are usually cheaper to invest in and create a collection with. Although they often
Define cheaper, because Dual Links is very expensive.
lack a secondary market where players can buy or sell and trade singles. There are also generally systems in the game that allow you to break down cards that you don't want or that you don't use, and you can create desired cards with them. Digital card
Hmm.
games are also more generous with handouts and cards generally, as well as being free to play. And
Define generous. Because like sometimes like they hand out like a lot of booster packs. I think Duel Links was like a thing has a thing where like every booster pack was like 3 cards, when physical Yu-Gi-Oh was like 10 cards per booster pack. Like it's kind of bad, you know?
It works out in a way to where the barrier of entry is much lower and cheaper and gentler. There's lots of people that play these games and never spend a cent. Matchmaking is a big plus to digital games and their accessibility, I think. The
Yeah,
fact that you can have all your cards on your phone and there are menus and modes that allow for quick card
true.
sorting and deck maintenance,
Yep.
and the fact that you can just get into a match with anybody from anywhere very
Mm-hmm.
quickly with very little time commitment,
And
it
you don't have to worry about latency because it's a turn-based game.
it dwarfs the investment that you have to put in to get matches with a physical card game.
Yep.
You not only have to acquire product, but you have to make the trip out to a physical location where you're going to seek people who are also willing to make that same investment just to be able to even play. Because
Yeah.
of cost, travel requirements, stuff like that, you're going to be.
I mean, to be honest, I kind of like going to like to the card store, uh, and like playing with like real people. But yeah, man, I mean, it's just so much easier, and we're lazy. Like, let's be honest, we're lazy. We don't want to leave our homes. So yeah,
Working with a smaller pool of potential players. And not all of those players might make the investment to run the most expensive decks, top decks.
me. Um, I pretty much only buy like some structured decks from Yu-Gi-Oh, and I just like this is my deck. Oh my
In
gosh.
that meta or whatever.
Yeah.
Counterplay and strategy are developed based on your opponents. So thanks to matchmaking through netplay, digital card games are going to give you a broader and more general pool of players to play with. Something
Hmm.
else that comes up with this discussion is how you play the game. Digital card games are generally really strong at teaching players the rules through interactions and
True.
interactive tutorials. And
Yep.
because things like rulings and judge calls aren't a thing, there's never really a need to have a conversation or call for a judge because the game just doesn't allow you to do moves that you can't make. If it
Hmm.
isn't possible, the card won't be glowing,
Yep.
or
Yep.
the effect won't go off that way.
Yep.
You simply won't be able to do it.
Hmm.
One negative to this, though, is that you're ultimately limited in how you play the game by what the developers dictate. Let's say you and your friend want to play a game type with some special rules or something.
Oh
You're at
yeah.
the mercy of the devs to
Hmm.
make that a mode in the game.
Yeah, and you can't make formats either, which kind of sucks. Um, it's also like the thing that I hate the most on digital card games is how unforgiving it is because you cannot redo plays. And I feel like this is just so unforgiving. It's just so bad. It's like you accidentally play a card, like you misclick a card into play, and you're like, oh shoot, I misclicked that. Can I take it back? Like you can't even suggest that to the other player. Like most players would be like, yeah, fine, go ahead. I don't care. Like we're just here to play for fun, Like I don't give a damn. But because you misclicked and now you have to commit to this action, it's like now you have to lose the game because of some stupid misclick. It's just so annoying.
Whereas with physical, you can always just, say, okay, let's just play this way. I think the biggest diverging point between digital and physical card game is the social aspect, of course. One big up
Yes.
that digital games have is how well they have been integrated and grown alongside other digital platforms. Through services like Discord, streaming platforms, these games really lend themselves towards community growth and engagement.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I will say is that I feel like Discord is nice, but I feel like it's not quite the same as like just talking to people. It's kind of like a limited part of digital games, unfortunately. It just never will be as good as like the real thing.
Engagement with wide audiences. However, I think the ultimate weakness for digital, for all its merits, is how impersonal playing them, both casually and competitively, can feel compared to their physical card game counterparts. This is less true recently
Yeah.
due to how strong
Literally
Discord
what I
and
just said.
streams have become for kind of like community building, but
Yep.
there's still a gulf here. And it
Mhm.
goes beyond the capacity to just, it goes beyond your capacity for building stronger relationships with people in person. I remember a few years ago when I was doing Shadowverse commentary for one of the few annual
Really?
in-person events that they had when the game was pushing competition at DreamHack. I remember being at these events and feeling like something was missing from the stage play. Two players go to a playing table, they shake hands, smile, they tell the judges their bands, they sit down, and then their heads go down to look at the screen and they never interact with the other person again until the match is over. Verbal and nonverbal cues.
I mean, I don't know. Like, Yeah,
Just in communication.
because like I guess it's just like the esports aspect of it. I mean, I feel like if it was like just casual gaming and stuff, I guess they would be like kind of joking around and just kind of like um, yeah, just talking a little bit more. So I don't know.
Adds so much to how the game plays and how it feels. Being able to observe an opponent's posture, facial expressions, voice intonation, hand gestures, etc., those all offer an additional layer of depth to how the game is played. You can't see your opponent checking their trash or graveyard with the digital game to know that they're, saving up for some kind of
True.
res or spell card or something like that, right? It's not to say that digital card games don't have their own kind of ways of doing this. After all, they say what creativity is bred through limitation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bluffing and talking shit in digital card games can be done in their own ways through like taunts, misplays, avatar actions, chat
Yeah.
spamming,
True. True. True.
emoting, roping, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But similar to poker versus online poker, the emphasis becomes purely on gameplay and card interactions versus person to person interactions.
Mm-hmm.
So you end up playing the game versus playing an opponent. But here's the thing, with the removal of that personal element, you will never get the battling boxer's guy in a digital card game. He does not exist. It can't happen. 38?
I love this video. Dude, this guy is so funny. This guy is like the. I feel like this guy is like the best Yu-Gi-Oh troll ever.
Maybe because I come from a fighting game background and there are a lot of parallels with this discussion and how we talk about net play versus offline play. So this point kind of hits home for me. But when I play digital card games, it feels like I'm just grinding and playing against an infinite mob of nameless, faceless opponents. There's no discussion, limited interactions, person to person stuff. Without the nuances of those personal interactions, all you have left to focus on is the gameplay. For that reason, in the end, I think for me, I really have to like the game and the gameplay for a digital card game to have long-term appeal for me. The game has to feel really compelling, rewarding, and satisfying to play in order to compensate how impersonal competition in the game can be. When it comes to the Digimon TCG, I think this game and how it roped me in has a lot to do with the isolated nature of life in Corona era, and nostalgia for sure is a big factor. The artwork for this card game is fantastic, and the memory system is a really cool mechanic that relies heavily on reads, risk assessment, and situational awareness. But then also, just because we're playing in person too, that those personal interactions definitely come into play with that as well. Man, it seems like since we started playing, the process of deck building and tuning over the course of a week, acquiring new cards, coming up with strategies to win over the course of that week leading up to every Friday session.
I feel like a huge. I feel like this is more like a critique towards CCG than online card games in general. Because if you play in dueling books, I'm guessing like Cockatrice and the other like Magic the Gathering like uh, community-made games that you can play online with other people. Those games are like they have all of that he is saying that online games doesn't have. Like in dueling book, you have to come like I talk more to my players in dueling book than in physical Yu-Gi-Oh. Cause like I don't know. I just feel more comfortable to like ask people, oh, what does this card do? Oh, what is this like? Oh, you're playing his archetype, huh? That's pretty cool. Like just kind of like a small talk between like players, and players are usually very chill when they're not racist, of course. There is that issue. But yeah, like I don't know, I feel like all of this is invalidated when the online card game in question, is manual. Like it's pretty much, it feels almost the same as playing in real life. And dueling book, they even go like the extra mile. Like if a player is looking through their graveyard or whatever, the game tells you that the player is looking at the graveyard, so like you can know like what your opponent is kind of thinking, you know. And something that is like actually pretty cool, you can look at the graveyard while your opponent is looking at the graveyard at the same time. So it's like you can kind of like try to predict what he's going for, which is something that you can't really do in physical card games. So it's like I feel like it's this is more of a critique towards automated digital card games and not digital card games in general, is what I'm thinking.
Has been, really fun for me. Having that kind of distraction and social release has been very welcome in this era.
Hell
Anyway,
yeah.
our matches the other day, we kind of came to the question of why we vibe with this game so hard, and it got me thinking about card games in general. I kind of ended up with this video in the end. That said, I want to hear what you guys think. Am I some kind of
I
deranged
just said what I
boomer
think.
trying to bait digital card game players, or am I onto something here? What card game has hit for you the hardest in the past? And was it physical or digital? I want to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys later.
All right. This is a pretty good video. I still think like I said, I feel like this is more towards like Hearthstone, MTG Arena, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Masters. This isn't like towards Dueling Book or Cockatrice or whatever. Which is kind of why I want to make Power Guide a manual digital card game. It's like, for a couple of reasons. It's it's not just because I'm not a programmer and I can't code card effects. I mean, you can, like, to be honest, like, coding card effects is not the end of the word. Just some specific cards is kind of tricky, but you can literally just copy and paste card effects and they work. You can do that on YGO Pro and it's just like super easy. Like literally anyone can do it. But um, it's like I like the feeling of manual card play that you have in Tabletop Simulator, Untap.in, Dueling Book, Tabletopia, Cockatrice, all these manual card games. I feel like you lose so much by making your card game automated. It's kind of crazy actually. So like, yeah, man. I don't know. Like, yeah, that was a W video. But yeah, like I said, just don't make your game automated. I mean, I guess like the advantage of making the card games automated is that you can make like all of these cool animations and sounds and pop-offs when the cards are played, and the music changes and stuff like that, which is something that you can't really do in a manual card game, unfortunately. But at the same time, it's like I would rather like not have all of that extravaganza in order to like have a more natural feeling to the game. It's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Man, you guys tell me what you think. So yeah, that will be it. Thank you for watching.